lives and relationships and sexuality and all that. But we have adoration 2 nights. We have Mass both days. The bishop celebrated Mass the last day. Very joyful, man. It was wonderful. Confessions. Kids being set free and just hearing confessions. And it's awesome. And that's another thing I have to confess. I pray for you guys to go to confession. I do. I pray that you would come in. And then on Saturday afternoons when people come in and it's going over time, I get mad. Isn't that horrible? Lord have mercy. I pray for this. And I pray that Yanni, St. Yanni, and it happens and it's like, oh, I'm just it's a wonderful time of power and coming to the Lord and adoring Him. And the theme, they always have a conference theme. The theme this year was the 8th day. So the 8th day is the new creation. It's the day after Jesus is risen from the dead. And I propose it to you, we're in the 8th day. And Jesus is risen from the dead. And what's He going to do? What's He going to do for you? How's He going to come into your life? How are we going to rip open our hearts and have that happen? This next fall, we're going to have another Life in the Spirit seminar because we need to get connected to the living God. And we need to grow in the expansiveness of His power and yield to that because we certainly need that. All the things that are going on, the attack on our religious freedom, all these different kind of things that we need to stand up. So I want to invite you and encourage you to prepare your hearts even now as you become involved in that. Because God has a lot of work for us and in us to do. So the 8th day is the day of the new creation. It's the day which knows no sunset. There's no sunset to this day. We read in our scriptures tonight about how Jesus, the woman who had been hemorrhaging for 12 years, she reached out and touched His garment. And she stopped hemorrhaging. She stopped bleeding. I have a question for you. You've heard the statement, stop the bleeding. Just raise your hand if, what's your idea of that? What does that idiom mean, or what does that expression mean to you? We got to stop the bleeding. Of course, it can be applied to a lot of things, but what do you think when I say stop the bleeding? Do you think? No. What do you think? Stop the bleeding. Anybody?
Stop moaning and groaning.
Stop moaning and groaning, okay. What else?
Stop the pain.
Stop the pain. Financially, it says, get rid of the house. You're just losing money. Stop the bleeding. So there's a lot of things, and I invite you to talk about that as a family. It says stop the bleeding in conjunction with Jesus stopping the bleeding of the bleeding woman. But stop the bleeding is like, stop the death. Stop the dying. Stop the hopelessness. Stop the life that has no meaning. Stop that. And Jesus comes and He stops the bleeding, and then He brings the meaning into this woman, into her life. And He brings the meaning into the 12-year-old girl. It says, Talitha kum, rise. Isn't that going to be great? When we die and people are saying, well, that's it, He's done, and Jesus is going to come and say, rise. Rise from the dead. This is who I am, and I'm claiming authority over death. And if He can claim authority over death and defeat death and deliver us from that, and deliver us from sin, and deliver us from the realm of no possibility to possibility, then we are in the life of God. And this is the 8th day. The 8th day, the new creation. Who God is for us. So I have a question for you. What's your bleeding? Let's get real. What's your bleeding? What relationship has gone down? What relationship has gone south? What loss are you experiencing in your life? What bad decision have you made that comes back to haunt you? What's your bleeding? Jesus wants to reach out and touch you and to be able to stop that bleeding. That's who our Jesus is for us. And that's who we celebrate in the gospel tonight. And we read in the first reading, we're not made for death. You and I are not made to bleed to death. We're made for life. We're made in His image. In the image of God that we're made. We're made for that kind of life. And so we want to look at that. We're made to be imperishable. We're made to have His being, which is a dynamic interchange of love forever. That's what we're made for. And in this 8th day, Jesus comes before us and He offers us redemption. See, the 8th day, Jesus is risen from the dead and now He's with us. He offers us the redemption of the cross. And the cross is not a past event. It's not in the past. It is here with us tonight, most especially in Word and most especially in Eucharist. And if the cross is in a specific place, it's wherever you are. He meets us with that cross. He says, I have come here to redeem you. I will help you to stop the bleeding. He became poor so that in his poverty we might become rich. What's your poverty? How are you bleeding? He knows it. Because he became that. And whatever was assumed can be redeemed. Whatever was assumed, write that down, put that in mind. Whatever is assumed can be redeemed. He assumed every poverty that you can imagine, to the lowest poverty, to the depths and the darkness of hell. He assumed that. And he says, I will redeem it. And that's good news for us. How could you not get excited about that? In our poverty, in his poverty, he took that on so that we could share in the very riches of his glory. And that's the good news. In the kingdom, the losers win. Because he came and we were losing the battle. And he says, I'm going to stop the bleeding. I'm going to take that away from you. And I'm going to be your strength and your joy for the journey. Let's just pray. We can talk about it till we're blue in the gills, but maybe just close your eyes and let's just pray that we know that Jesus is not a dead man. He's not 2,000 years ago. We know that he's with us right now. And we know that he's in front of us. He's not at some other place right now. He's not interested in something else or someone else right now. He's interested in you, in your heart. And he's interested in authentically meeting you where you're at. And so, Lord Jesus, we come before you. Jesus, you are with us just as you were with the hemorrhaging woman, with the girl who had died. And we just come before you now. And Jesus, we admit that we're bleeding some way, shape, or form. It might be a relationship, it might be a disappointment in our life, something that we wanted to happen that didn't happen, some dream that didn't come true. Jesus, we admit that. We admit that we're bleeding. We admit that we made a bad decision, and it still stings. We admit that we have some self-hatred or hatred towards someone else. We admit that we use each other physically, sexually. We admit that. We admit that we're bleeding. And nobody's ever been able to stop it, Jesus. And we really haven't turned to you for that ever before. So we turn to you now. Be our Redeemer. Be our deliverer. We know that we live in the eighth day. It's the day of the new creation. So we say, Jesus, make us new. Make us new in you. That we can live your life, think your thoughts. Be your sons and daughters, created to share in your life, to live forever. So thank you, Jesus. With you, and we're found. We're redeemed. So we pray for your newness. And thank you for stopping the